Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel with myself, Isabella. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If you're new here, welcome. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more ballet related content. We do lots of things here. We look at Zakharova videos, we analyse variations, and we just talk general mental health and personal growth stuff. So it's super fun. So guys, today we're going to be looking at some of the top 3 Kitris of the last, 20 years or so. We're going to start with Osipova because I think this is one of her renowned roles, and let's dive straight in. So Kitri is obviously a very fiery variation, one that requires a lot of energy. I think there's many different types of ballerinas that do this and they come across all very differently. For example, Osipova is someone who's extremely exuberant and extremely vibrant and comes across so well in the Kitri role because of her amazing jumps, her fast footwork, her fast turns. Like in general, it's like the perfect role for her. Whereas someone who, let's say, is a little bit purer, who comes across a little bit more refined, a little bit more pure in their lines, etc., doesn't quite have that fiery embellishment and that sort of exuberant energy that Kitri really requires. It's still lovely, it's still nice to watch, but it just doesn't have quite the same energy. But I'll leave you to judge for yourself. And obviously, as I state in all these analysis videos, each ballerina is incredible, has worked extremely hard to get to this point in their life, and so any criticism or opinion you may have, keep it really kind, really constructive, and in no way disparaging to the ballerina, because to be at this level, trust me, is extremely hard work and has required a huge amount of dedication. So yeah, I just want to keep it a really safe place for us to comment, because these ballerinas may come across this video and I only want them to see constructive feedback from their audience rather than disparaging ones, So keep it nice, keep it friendly, and let's dive straight in. I'm excited, I love this variation. We're looking at the wedding solo, and let's look at Osipova. I believe this was when she was still at Bolshoi. Already clapping. The Bolshoi stage is huge, by the way, and she's covering a lot of ground. I like those over-embellished ronds. Just so much epaulement. Light, so light, making these look easy. And therefore, we can get the audience involved. I mean, they're just passes, but done effectively, you can get the audience involved. And then virtuosity to finish. I love the expression at the end as well, like almost like it was nothing, Yeah, I think this was a video when she was sort of in her prime, I mean, she still is, but very much in her young, youthful prime. Very nice, especially when done fast. It's actually a really short variation. I mean, we got through that in 1 minute. But as you can see, watch how she does her steps. Like as she goes into the fouette, then into the bourrées, she's covered basically half the stage. It's hard to tell on the video, but that stage is massive, absolutely huge. And so the energy that's required to cover that much space is gigantic. And that's why the audience, were clapping, because basically she's taking these little steps, which are basically simple. This is quite simple variation into something exciting. So that's why, in the passes, that's the time to give lots of energy. And if it's done too slowly or seemingly with more effort, I feel like they don't clap as much, or the audience doesn't feel compelled to clap. But she did it again, so quickly, so fluidly. I really do think this is like Osipova in her prime. I mean, this wasn't even the version with the jumps, you know, and she's a jumper, but she's very much a virtuoso dancer with huge emphasis on freedom when she dances. And I've spoken a lot recently about actually people should focus a lot more on actually dancing, you know, especially when you have technical freedom, the dance has to come through. I think this heavily comes through with Osipova. Okay, everyone, so now we're going to move on to Novikova, Alicia Novikova, who is a prima ballerina of the Mariinsky, only really recently promoted to prima ballerina, which is kind of insane. You know, she's amazing. But obviously to be labelled a ballerina in the Mariinsky and in Russia in general is a huge, huge accolade, one that doesn't get handed out to just anyone. Because often when you're named a ballerina, it often leads into being called, you know, an honoured artist of Russia eventually. So it's really hugely important. So now let's dive in and watch Novikova. Everyone's waiting for her to come on. Here she comes. Ooh, berets, berets, berets. Beautiful berets. I think she's also quite young here. So slightly different with the berets. A little bit more, again, pure, clean, because it's Mariinsky. Lovely tutu though. Classic sort of Russian tutu. Playing with the fan. Hands on hips. Fast berets. Very nice. Very nice. What's quite interesting is she does that in a very, you know, pure way, nice way. She is completely different to Osipova, like completely different in terms of energy. I would say she's a much more pure Kitri, classical Kitri than say Osipova's version. I feel that's why I still feel like Osipova really comes out in that regard. Personality of Kitri as well, even though Novikova's doing it very beautifully and very purely and very nicely, I feel like maybe she's slightly holding back in the real flirtation of it. Like I think it could be more. I think it could be much more, which is funny for me to say about a Mariinsky dancer, but I do feel like when you've watched someone who's really going for it, I enjoy Novikova's lines. I enjoy her very pure classical technique. I think it's, you know, beautiful. But in that regard, I think she could really come through more on the character and the epaulement and stylize it up a little bit more so that while her classicism and her pureness of dancing is maintained, there's still that beautiful energy there, which I think is just slightly missing. Like that flirtation as you go into it. You know, after all, you know, Kitri's fun, she's flirty, and she's a little bit naughty, you know, and I think that needs to come through a little bit more. So far, you know, I do feel like, even though I very much enjoy Novikova in so many roles, and even in this ballet, in the dream scene, for example, she's amazing, it's just beautiful. She's so pure. I feel like she's lacking, for me, just a little bit of that character and Kitri energy. Okay, so now we're going to look at one of my fellow friends from Vaganova, albeit she was slightly younger, Renata Shakirova, who is a really up-and-coming dancer at Mariinsky, and I think she's just so beautiful. She does every role very, very well, and I think she really does have Kitri energy. And I haven't actually watched this performance of hers before, but I'll be interested to see, because I have seen her do Paquita, and I think she's amazing at Paquita and has that fire in her whilst sustaining that Mariinsky pureness. So that's just like a really amazing combination. So let's have a look. Oh, beautiful balance. Challenging her speed. And I get the sense from her she's quite brave, you know? Starting slower, which is also fun because you can speed up when there's more emphasis. And you can see she's full of energy in her face. Really challenging her speed now. That was nice. That was nice. That was really nice. Yeah, I think this is something that she'll probably really develop in as well. And what I really enjoy about Renata is just how she looks so happy when she's dancing. She looks like she's really enjoying herself, and she looks like she's really embodying the role and in the moment, you know. So she's worked up to building her technique in a way that she's completely trusting of it. And then when she's dancing a role like this, like, you want to forget that this person's doing difficult things. You want to be completely drawn in, and you are drawn in with Renata. And just when she just, you know, does the passes and she's just bursting with and smiling and saying, I'm just having the best time. And she does look like she's having the best time. And that really comes through with her energy. Like I said, these steps are very simple. So when you're doing bourrées like that, for example, you have to step out, you have to cover a lot of ground, like make the bourrées look impressive, because like I said, they can literally look like nothing. And so each ballerina, as we've seen so far, has added different nuance to it. Some of them have held an attitude a bit longer. Some of them have embellished the rond a little bit more. Some of them have used their shoulders more. Renata started slow, whereas the others started immediately quick. And that's another interesting thing, is how they're doing different nuances. So it'd be really interesting to hear what you guys think about what you prefer in terms of their nuances as well, because that's really interesting. But I really enjoyed that, and I was more involved in that one than Novikova. I think both Osipova and Shakirova embody the Kitri role just a little bit more so. Okay everyone, so now we're going to be looking at another very classic and pure ballerina, that is Svetlana Zakharova. Now Svetlana Zakharova has been around a long time, and I guess she must be approaching, you know, towards the end of her career now. And she's one who started at Vaganova and Mariinsky and then moved to the Bolshoi. And it's really interesting when you watch people do that the other way around. I don't think it's been so much the other way around. I actually don't think many people have started at Bolshoi and then gone to Mariinsky. I think it's always been Mariinsky people and Bolshoi and Vaganova people have always then gone to Bolshoi. It's not so often that happens the other way around, but that's interesting, isn't it? So another very pure dancer, very Mariinsky and pure. But let's have a look, because Zakharova has a lot of energy and a lot of fire in her, despite being so pure. So I'm interested to look at Zakharova in this one. They're already clapping when she does bourrées. Attitude. Nice tutu. It's also quite a nice fan. Obviously, she's such an established ballerina. I like how she's flicking that fan. Ha. That was nice. That was nice. I like how she was embellishing a lot with the fan, more so than some of the others. You know, she flick bum and bourrée, flick bum and bourrée. Interesting. You know, with Svetlana Zakharova, obviously she has such a huge reputation at this point, and you know she was just doing simple passes, but the way she really fixated her eyes on the audience when she was doing them, then that instantly got the round of applause, because it's interesting how you can just make some passes look amazing and impressive, and then people applaud that. Really nice, really nice. I think with Svetlana, I still feel like it could have had a bit more energy, a bit more Kitri fire. So far, my definite favourites are Novikova and Osipova. No, sorry, Shakirova and Osipova. I think Zakharova did that very nicely, and her feet obviously look beautiful when she's doing it. I do really like how she's using the fan. I think she's using it in a slightly different way. So, you know, there's much more accent and embellishment with it, which is just really nice. It may be because the fan's black and it's just a bit more obvious, I don't know, or it's a larger fan, but it does look really nice how she's using it. All of these dancers so far have had really nice use of shoulders, but the ones who have stood out are the ones who've used space and been brave with that, covered a lot of ground and not been afraid to cover a lot of ground. Because like I said, simple steps, you've got to cover loads of ground, as well as embellishing every attitude and showing a bit more light and shade. So obviously with Zakharova, it was a little bit samey, even though there was a really nice use of fan, which I did really enjoy. As you can tell, I've mentioned the fan a lot. It was all a little bit on a level. There wasn't so much nuance or play or playfulness with the musicality, and that's what makes something look really interesting. And so other performers did that, such as Shakirova in particular, which is nice to see because she's a really up and coming dancer. So now I thought we could do something fun and actually go back some generations and look at Maximova or Maximova, I think it must be Maximova, doing Kitri, because she obviously does it incredibly well, and it's one of the solos that she's renowned for, or was renowned for, Ekaterina Maximova. I hope I'm saying that right. It's always, I'm always wondering where's the accent sometimes with the names. But she has, again, a huge jump, similar to Osipova, like huge jump and a lot of speed, which is very impressive to look at. See, playfulness. Why is it that everything back then seemed like it was at lightning speed? Oh, look at the shoulders. Look at the shoulders. It's amazing. Oh, just joyful. Oh, love that. Love that. Oh my goodness. Right, so listen, I've just watched 3 solos, 3 or 4 solos, and now I've just watched that. That has now completely transfixed me. I mean, that was, again, the same steps, exactly the same steps, but done completely differently and incredibly well, and so impressively, with so much style. I mean, did you see that? Just the da, 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 da. I just love the over embellished shoulders, and then when she ran to the corner, it was like gathering something before the last diagonal. I think we could all learn something huge from looking at these older ballerinas and the older generations, because I do think it's all circling back, because, you know, we've had the phase of being like very pure, very, very classical, which is great, but I'm not necessarily talking about Russian schools. I'm talking about like just globally looking at dancers, and they're all really nice, and they all look really nice, and they're all worried about being super perfect and doing everything really, really super well and perfectly. So much so that we've lost that slightly throwaway nature, and actually just dancing, just really dancing and going for it. And that was amazing. That was like, wow, I was just totally taken away, just with the shoulders and the nuance and the musicality and the speed. You know, how she held her attitude, and then she bourrée, and then just the shoulders. Okay, we have a winner. Just so amazing. So Ekaterina Maximova, or Maximova, really does take the biscuit there. I think that was fantastic and really embodied the Kitri style. And if I was dancing Kitri, I would really try to embody Maximova and take it with me in a way that then allowed me to put my stamp on it. But that was amazing. And I think obviously we've done analysis on Swan Lake and Odette and things like that. And while I was watching, you know, Odette and obviously Osipova was in that analysis as well, and she wasn't my favourite in that one because, you know, she was lacking a little bit of that softness and that real odette character, but she was fantastic here. So, you know, everyone has, and it's all about also people's natural or innate personalities, because their personality really comes through when they have a specific role. So everyone's different. But guys, let me know what you think, because this is quite an interesting one. We should do the same variation with the jumps as well. But let me know your thoughts. But I am totally taken away with Maximova. I think she was just incredible, and we should do a whole video on her, I think. I've decided. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. As always, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next video. Bye for now.